Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my F1 2019 career mode here today as we arrive for round 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix and the start of the European season and some big upgrades on the car. If you guys missed the last episode, then go watch it by clicking the card in the top right hand corner of your screen for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And also, while you're at it, if you are new, get subscribed for daily Formula 1 content. But now let's move into things here for round 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix, guys. And we've been waiting all season for this. We've done 4 races so far with the default car that we started with in Australia, and now finally we have some upgrades. Not all of them, 2 of them have failed, but we do have crucially the major ones. So we've got, I believe, 1 minor engine upgrade, 1 major one, and then a major aerodynamic one. So all in all, it's going to close the gap quite a lot to the cars in front. Albeit they have brought their own upgrades, Haas, Mercedes and Red Bull, they have improved. We've actually closed the deficit a little bit, and it's a shame we didn't get those 2 chassis ones on the car, because if we did, the gap would be a lot smaller. But hopefully we can add those on in this episode, because going into Monaco next, I want to improve the car even more. I've got a couple of 100 points still saved up, and I should be able to afford everything, and maybe even 1 more upgrade once the episode finishes, once we get the total amount of points. So yeah, I've got my eyes on Monaco. I've got one eye on Monaco, you could say, in terms of upgrading, and that chassis, which is what I'm looking at, needs work, because we're really poor in the chassis department. But with that being said, you can see here on screen right now, we took part in practice, and this weekend I'm on 105% AI, and I went a little bit higher than the last 2 races. I was on 104 at Baku and China, and 105 around here, and that seemed to be the right value. So I'm going to leave it on that for the rest of the weekend, because it worked quite well for me. And in practice, as you just saw a moment ago, we pretty much scored maximum points, 335 out of 355, I believe, and got a lot of purple scores and a big amount of R&D points to put away into the bank. And like I said, looking at that kind of upgrade package going into Monaco, and in theory, that upgrade package should not fail, because 2 of those upgrades are going to be ones that failed for this race, so the upgrades don't fail twice. So those 2 will definitely be on the car in the next race, and then we'll see what else gets added to that in this episode. With that being said, though, that is it for practice. We're now going to move into qualifying on Saturday here at Spain, and we're going to see how we get on. I'm looking forward to this, because last season this was the place where we won our first race of the season, so I'm looking forward to getting stuff stuck in and seeing how things go. And straight away in Q1 we're going to hit the track on the soft compound tyres and see where the limits are. And to be fair, for a change, in Q1, no major scares. 2 tenths up through Sector 1, that was my strongest sector. I had a pretty good straight line speed set up on the car. Sector 2, we're down a little bit now, down 3 tenths on Lewis Hamilton, who's currently fastest in the Red Bull. And then the final sector, I did actually drop a little bit more time through here. In typical real-life Sector 3 Spanish Grand Prix tradition this season, the Ferrari does struggle a bit through there. So yeah, we lost a little bit more time, over a second off the pace, to be fair. We lost 9 tenths in Sector 3 alone. But we still went P7, and that was good enough to get us through into Q2 quite comfortably. If you look at the lap times around us, Sebastian Vettel and Devon Butler, and also Lucas Weber opting for the medium tyres in Q1. But now in Q2, we're going to flip it. I'm going to try my luck on the medium tyres. I put a little bit more front wing on, because I had a little bit of understeer, and looking at the straight line speed traps in Sector 3, I needed some more front wings, so we're going to add some on, and now we're going to see how that works for us as we now go through turns 1, 2, and now turn 3. So far so good, really letting the car do the work through there, open up the steering wheel through turn 3 on the exit, and through sector 1 we're a 10th up just about on Lucas Weber, who's currently quickest on those soft tyres. Now opening up the taps, open up the line, but we accidentally double shift there on the exit, so that cost me a little bit of time. Then a little lock up on the front left, but still no major mistakes, and still a pretty tight lap nonetheless, albeit with a double shift, as we now go up towards 7 and 8, a left right chicane. Very easy to lose the back end here on the kind of crossover of direction, and then through turn 9, tapping that inside curb, carrying the momentum up the hill, DRS open, and so far a decent lap as we are literally about 8 tenths down, which is not too bad on Lucas Weber, but that's definitely better than I expected. And now into the final sector. This is where we lost 9 tenths in the last lap, so this time with the extra aerodynamic improvement on the front wing, I'm hoping to improve and also have a bit more of a tidier one. My last sector on the first run in Q1 was a little bit scruffy, so I was focused on mainly keeping it all together and making no mistakes, and that was a very nice run through there, especially those final 3 corners. No wheel spin, no oversteer, absolutely perfect. And across the line, we actually only lose 3 tenths in that final sector, so a much better sector 3 there. And we go P9, and at the time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to go again. But luckily for me, the gap behind was actually quite big, and we was able to go through on the mediums, and we didn't have to go out again because we actually had quite a nice cushion behind us. So Yeah, that's great news for strategy because obviously the one stop around here is very powerful. And Lewis Hamilton's going to join me by also qualifying on the mediums. And now we're going to jump into Q3. We're going to go for 2 runs in this session. My first one was okay, 6 tenths off the pace for P3, but there was more lap time there, and I knew that a perfect lap. I hadn't hit a perfect lap yet, so I'm hoping this is the one. As you can see, with pretty much 12 seconds to go, we're now going to get on our way for the final lap. And straight away, turn 1, braking just before the 50 metre ball, looked like up on the front right, but luckily we don't lose too much time as we throw the car over the curb at turn 2, and then keep it nice and tight for 3, and then open up the steering wheel as we find half a tenth through sector 1, which is pretty damn good. Now into sector 2, really want to keep it tight through turn 4, and then open up the steering wheel again on the exit, run up to the curb, and then bring over to the right for turn number 5, downhill. Make sure you really get those gears sorted out so that you get the rotation and you get the traction. And so far, 2.5 tenths up, really good lap so far, as we now go into the chicane, throwing the car in and hoping it sticks, and there we go, that's pretty good so far. And now up through turn 9, look at the speed carry there, DRS open, a little bit wide, and we lose a little bit of momentum and lose about half a tenth of a second, and we're 4 tenths down through sector 2 as Lucas Weber improves to a 16.3. And to be fair, that was kind of the peak, to be honest. When I was 2.5 tenths up, that was the highest point of the lap, because I had a bit of a scruffy second half of the lap, and I lost a bit of lap time. You can see in the delta there, we just kind of threw it away, to be honest, and lost it through the chicane. Actually lose my delta there for a minute and actually go red. We get really good traction, really good exit out the front corner and find a tenth of a second, but all in all, we literally found pretty much 2 tenths just on the run to the line alone. And I think, had we had a smoother run in that kind of sector 2 to sector 3 phase, I reckon the perfect lap would have been like a half a second improvement. And I think a 16.7, 16.6 maybe could have been possible. But ultimately, the Red Bulls were really quick around here. And this is the track that showcases the R&D graph in terms of the pace. And you can see Red Bull were not messing around. They were really quick here, and third was the best we could do. I'm happy with that. We got third by 0.07 of a second over Devon Butler, and for me that's a good result. With that being said, that is it for qualifying. We start the race on the mediums, so let's see how we get on. It's time for round 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Lucas was on fire in qualifying today. It's got to be a relief to qualify that far up the grid. Great, well that's everything.
What does the Spanish Grand Prix have in store for us today, I wonder? I hope we see some tight wheel-to-wheel action down the main straight, circa Mansell and Senna way back in '91, or maybe we'll have a more strategic race here on a track where overtaking can be difficult. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya then, a high-speed 2.89-mile circuit which demands an efficient downforce package and bravery on the part of the driver, especially through the blind right of turn 9, which we might just see taken flat this weekend. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Martinez. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Great work from Lucas Weber yesterday sees him start from pole, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Martinez, Butler, Pierre Gasly, and Vettel, Magnussen, Raikkonen, Leclerc and Sergio Perez, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas and Sainz, Stroll, Norris, George Russell and Alexander Albon, Giovinazzi and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, so here we are then on the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix, round 5 of Season 2, and we start from P3 on the clean side of the grid behind both of the Red Bulls. Can we try and spot at least one of their parties? We know Lewis is starting on the mediums, but Weber is on the softs, so maybe there could be a 2-stop for him, and maybe we can try and beat him. I think beating Lewis is going to be tricky. I'm hoping my race pace is better and we're a little bit closer to the Red Bull, but it's going to be a tricky race. And for now, the target is simple. I want to hold on to this third place, and that's where I want to finish this race. In terms of strategy, we're going to run a one-stop strategy with the mediums onto the hards, and that's what we've done last season. It worked out very well for us, and I'm hoping to do that once again here today. Last season, with this strategy, we won the race, but of course, this season, Red Bull was so strong, and Lewis being on the same strategy is going to make it quite interesting. Fuel-wise, we're going to go up to 34 laps and run one extra lap of fuel, and yeah, we're going to see how that goes. No chance of rain, so let's just jump into it and let's see how we go. And it is now time for round 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix. Let's get to work. Right, here we go then. Let's build up the revs into the optimal range as the 5 red lights come on. Lights out and away we go. Pretty poor launch to be fair, but we are going to manage to cover the inside, so to be fair, my start wasn't actually that bad. It was just the Red Bulls getting off really well, as they always do. Into turn 1, we're side by side with Pierre Gasly here. He's on the soft tyres. We're going to hold on to our position, going around the outside of turn 2, and we're going to stay in front of Pierre for now. Is he going to challenge me into the next corner, into turn 4? Seems like he's not. He was close, but he doesn't want to go for it. And Weber holds on to the lead in the Red Bull.
Let's focus now for the rest of the race.
Yeah, let's focus, because Weber holds on to first place, so he can now run away at the front on the soft tyres. Lewis P2 also on the mediums, like myself, and we've held on. So now it's going to be a little bit tricky at first. We've got to try and keep Gasly behind on the slower tyre, and then hopefully we'll come into this race and see if the strategy pays off. So let's try and get to work, and let's see if we can get these tyres to switch on. I have improved a lot lately. You know, before the patch I was struggling a lot with first stint / first couple of laps AI. I've improved a lot lately with my starts, and also me pushing a lot more on lap 1, taking a lot more chances, and it's really worked out as I've got a lot more confidence now, and a lot better lap 1 pace especially, so that's definitely served me well. But we need to try and hold on for a little bit longer here. Pierre Gasly is going to be close as we get a nice clean exit there out of the chicane. Really nice clean exit. Gasly is within range, but there's no DRS just yet, so we'll use a little bit of rich mix and DRS just to keep him at bay, but we should be okay to keep that Mercedes behind for now. Let's see if we can try and open up a gap and clear him by a second this lap before DRS is enabled next time round. Okay, on to lap 3. Weber setting the pace.
Race officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available.
There you go. Gasly's still within range, but we've got a little bit more of a gap to Devon Butler. He's not able to keep up, so we've got a good enough pace, and I feel confident enough that I can stretch Gasly a little bit more this lap. So his soft tyres should also be fading a little bit more this time round, so let's try and push a little bit more this lap and see if we can clear Pierre. There we go, another personal best, good pace. I don't really have to turn up the engine that much. I'm able to keep Gasly behind. You can see how much he gains in the straight, but that's fine. We've got things under control, good consistent pace. I'm not really looking at the Red Bulls here today. Unfortunately, we just really don't have the pace. They are really, really quick. All I can hope for is that I can beat Weber due to strategy, but for now this race is going to be about holding on to third and trying to secure the podium, and once again maximise the race as best as we can. Okay, Devon Butler comes in the Mercedes. Gasly stays out for one more. Sebastian comes in as well.
Sebastian's in for his stop.
I was just looking at my tyres. My front left does get a little bit hot, up to 105 Celsius. So with the patch, I've noticed that tyre overheating is a thing again in this game. Not as, not a major thing, but tyre overheating was literally impossible pre-patch. But it is now possible to overheat your tyre. So there is some management now that has to take place, and you have to just watch your front left, especially around here. Monaco is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how that one is. But at the minute, we're looking okay here. P3 is still pretty comfortable, and car and tyres still working pretty well. Okay, so Pierre Gasly should pit in. Lucas Weber does pit in the other Red Bull, and there you go, Gasly also pits in. So it's me and Lewis out front now, all by ourselves. And we're going to go long into this stint on this medium tyre. So let's just stay focused and try and stay consistent with the lap times and the pace, and also watch that front left temperature. Personal best, but just as I respond and trying to pick up the pace, Lewis responds to my change of pace as well, and he's pulled away 2/10. So
Right tyre situation. We're good for the time being, but you are going to start to notice the wear, so make sure it doesn't catch you out.
they feel okay at the minute, so I'm not going to look at the tyre wear. I'm just going to do my thing. They still feel okay. Okay, that was the first lap where the tyres didn't feel too good. Only a 10th off my personal best, but you can see Lewis now, the gap is up to 6 seconds. Just trying to get to that pit stop phase, which will be on the next lap now. Lucas Weber setting the pace. That 11.3 is the gap that we need to try and manage for the rest of the race, and Weber will be on much better tyres. pretty much for the remaining 20 laps. So we are going to have a battle at some point, and it's going to be on track, and we're going to have to try and defend P2 because Weber's coming for us. Right then, here we go. We're going to pit in. Decent first stint on the slower tyre again, and I'm really starting to find my confidence now with this Ferrari car this season and be better on the first stints. But here we go into the pit lane. Get it all slowed down, and that is perfect. Down to the 80, spot on. That entry was fantastic. Onto the hard tyres. Come on, boys.
Go now.
Good stop. 2.1. We'll take that. There goes Lucas Weber. He's going to take first place back for now. And here comes Max Verstappen. He's going for one more lap on those mediums. Hopefully we rejoin. No, it's going to be a couple of cars here.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
That's a little bit awkward there. Bottas and Sainz right in front of us, which is not ideal. I want to see if I can clear them so I can go for the fastest lap. Even though Weber will probably end up picking it up because of the tyres and strategy he's got, I want to see if I can give it a go. Bottas there, getting overtaken by Sainz. We're going to slip past. Thank you very much, Carlos. We're going to make the move on the racing point. Now let's try and get past Carlos Sainz if we can. Let's see if we can get the run through turn 9. A little bit wide, a little bit rash. We have got DRS from Carlos. Around the outside of the McLaren with a drift for good measure. Around the outside, inside for the next corner. Sainz trying to hang around the outside. But we're going to take the inside line and squeeze him off, and there we go. That's a fantastic move with a nice little drift at the hairpin. Verstappen should pit in, so that should release us now finally. So let's push on here. Let's see if we can try and set a purple lap and see what kind of pace we have on these hard tyres and give it a go. Sainz does stay out for one more, surprisingly, as we retake third place. Let's get to work. Okay, so Lewis doesn't set the purple lap, surprisingly. We're not on for a purple lap either. Across the line, we do set a purple final sector, but it's not enough. A 19.9, so there we go. That's our attempt. It wasn't good enough. Might try later on with the lower fuel, but now we've got to focus on running some consistent laps on this hard tyre to make sure Weber doesn't have too much of a pace advantage over us, and we can try and keep that 11-second gap as big as possible once he comes in. Overall, I'm pretty damn consistent. I'm about 7/10 off my personal best every single lap in standard engine mode, and I'm losing about half a second to Lewis a lap as Sebastian pits in. Weber should be in.
Sebastian is in the pits.
Weber should be in this lap, so yeah, we'll get a good idea as to where we really are in terms of
Gap to car in front is 8.8 seconds.
in terms of what the gaps exactly are. So yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. Oh, Carlos Sainz is out. The home hero in the McLaren is out of the race. Will that trigger a safety car or a VSC? Seems like it won't. Again, the safety car yet to make its presence felt after 26 races. Okay, so Weber goes on to a fresh set of mediums as expected. There he is in the pit lane. We'll wait until sector 1 to see exactly what the gap is, but I feel like it's a lot less than 11 seconds.
Caution, caution.
Here we go into the caution zone. There's Carlos Sainz in the
Be
McLaren.
aware, there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
Bit late for that one, mate. Right, let's see.
Green flag.
Will it be 11 seconds? I reckon it's going to be below 10 seconds personally, but let's see. 7.3, there you go. So 12 laps to go, 12 and a half, and Weber's got 7.5 seconds to make up. It's very doable in the quickest car. He's got the quickest lap already to his name, so let's get ready to defend because it's going to happen. Another 20.6 from me. Weber though, let's see what he does. 19.3. 1.4 quicker. I've already started to save fuel and ERS because I want to have a fully charged up battery and as much fuel as possible to try and defend from him. I feel confident we can stay in front of the straights. It's all about traction on the exits. The fuel's just starting to line up a little bit, and I'm starting to find a little bit more pace now. I was about 7/10 to a second off the pace every lap. Now I'm only 4/10 off my personal best, that is. Weber's 1.7 behind. He's still not within DRS and he's not catching as much as he was. He is of course catching though. About 7/10 a lap at the minute. So let's just keep doing what we're doing, but it seems like we've got a bit better pace at the minute, and Weber's not catching me as easily as I thought he would. Okay, I think he's in my DRS. 8/10 behind, yeah, he definitely is. Here we go then, it begins. 6 laps of just good old-fashioned battling with my former teammate from F2.
Let's turn up the ERS deployment and burn some of this energy.
Pretty decent exit out the final corner. Weber's got DRS, here he comes.
Okay, That's a lap, 5/10.
A little bit defensive, but we'll stay afloat. Weber won't send one down the inside just yet, so that's fine by me. We'll stay in front for at least this lap. Maybe he'll challenge me on the next one, who knows. But for now, we stay in second. Another good exit there. As long as I keep doing that, we should be okay.
It's moving to mix 2. Fuel to mix 2.
We've got just about enough to stay in front here. Yep, that's good. That's a good thing about the hard tyres. They literally last forever. And it's not really the rears that suffer here, it's the left front. So as long as I keep getting,
5 laps of fuel remaining.
as long as I keep getting good traction out of the key traction zones, it's not really a worry. Another good exit. He's too far back. That's good news for us. Easily able to stay in front once again. Personal best actually, as George Russell retires from the session in the Williams, but good pace from us, and Weber again does not challenge. He's only going to have one more chance, and that's in the last lap. Right then, here we go. Weber's last chance. I'm going to run it in
This is
rich
your
mix
final lap of the race.
and hot lap mode for most of the lap here. Let's use up what we've got left. We've got Perez in front. There's traffic, which might throw a spanner in the works, but for now, Weber does not attack, and we're now on the last lap here, so if it's not now, it will be never. Come on, Perez, get out of the way, mate. Oh, that's a lock up. Inviting pressure there on the marbles a bit. Come on, Perez, move out of the way, please. Seemingly just wants to refuse, so pick up a track extension there. Good thing is we'll get DRS on that straight. Perez, do you mind? It's a big lock up from me there. Wasn't used to DRS and the overspeed caught me out. Rear tyres letting go there. Trying so hard. Weber's really putting the pressure on. Lewis wins in Spain. Perez trying his hardest to feed me into Weber on this last lap, but it's not going to be any use. Good traction there, good exit, and there we go. Now he moves out the way, but either way we come through for P2. Get in. Vai. Forza Ferrari.
Well done, good finish. You stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
So another fantastic victory for Red Bull today. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Right, so here we have the final classified results from the Spanish Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton wins the race but doesn't pick up the fastest lap. That belongs to Charles Leclerc in the Haas down in P9, and he must have gone for a set of softs right at the end and gone for the purple lap. We come home P2. Lucas Weber P3 from pole position. He tried the two-stop. It didn't work. He got stuck behind me and couldn't get past. Then both of the Mercedes, Devon Butler, Pierre Gasly 4th and 5th. Both of them also on two-stop strategies. And then we've got Max Verstappen P6, Lando Norris P7, also both of them on the one-stop, just proving how overpowered and the ideal strategy the one-stop is around here. And then Sebastian Vettel on a two-stop, of course, down in P8, just didn't have the pace. He was actually quicker than me. His fast lap is quicker than mine, but again, it just proves that the Mercedes, the two-stop was just not the way to go. And then Charles Leclerc and Kevin Magnussen round out the top 10 and the point scorers. And towards the bottom of the table, we have Carlos Sainz, the home hero, and George Russell retiring from the Grand Prix. But what does that race mean for the standings? Well, first of all, Lewis leads by 17 points over Lucas Weber. We are still P3, and we're looking pretty good actually. We're 19 points behind Weber, and we're in the mix. You know, we're staying in there 36 behind Hamilton. That's okay. And then we've got a little bit of a gap now to Pierre Gasly, who's P4, Devon Butler P5, Sebastian losing out to both Mercedes in this race, and the gap to Pierre is actually over 25 points. So it's overall a race win gap we've got, which is really, really good. So yeah, good stuff. In terms of the constructors though, we remain in P2. Mercedes do gain a couple of points back, but still the gap is pretty comfortable, and I believe around 25 points is the gap right now to Mercedes. And then Red Bull 87 points ahead, a big gap to the Red Bulls, and we need to try and overturn that as soon as possible, and we'll try and remedy that with some upgrades in this video. So let's jump into the laptop and let's try and improve our car going into the Monaco Grand Prix.
You had a pretty close finish with Lucas. What's it like racing a former teammate? You and Lucas seem to enjoy yourselves up on the podium today. Another podium. You must be getting used to it up there. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? Appreciate your time.
Okay, so here we are on the laptop, and we have almost 1,400 points to spend. Now, for this race, as you guys know, we had a double failure on the chassis, so we're going to get that on the car straight away, and we're going to see how many points we have left over, but we need these chassis upgrades urgently, so we'll get those two on, and we have 766 points left, which is just enough to buy one last upgrade for the chassis, this time for the tyre wear, so we're going to get that on as well, and we should have hopefully a triple chassis upgrade in the next race, which should hopefully give us a nice little boost. And going into Monaco, the car should be greatly improved, and we should be challenging Mercedes. We should be a lot closer to them, which is good. So yeah, overall the upgrades have worked good. I'd say the car's improved, and hopefully it's a lot more nimble, better on its tyres, and lighter in the next race with the upgrades. And we'll keep on pushing on and keep on trying to work on improving those upgrades. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode of Career Mode. And if you did enjoy it, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you are new to the channel, guys. And also check out these two videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.